I've lived my whole life working out of my home, including I had a nightclub for 6 years, the second biggest one in the state, and I lived above it. So technically, I had a nightclub in my basement.
Wow.
But I only deal with people I like. If I don't like you, take a hike. I don't have to deal with you, and that's the beauty of the digital world. So.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What was that like, Tom?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
having a nightclub in your.
who else can claim that they have the second biggest nightclub in the state in his basement?
yeah. Well, it was very interesting. This was in the from 1980 to 1986, and it was in West by God, Virginia. You got to say by God when you say West Virginia, and it was on a drug route. And this part of the reason that I wear a gun all the time, I was in gunfights and knife fights and bikers trying to kill me, and there was West
Okay.
Virginia. Yeah. So there was one sheriff and one state police for 300 square miles. Okay, so it was every man for himself. The two gunfights that we had, the sheriff came out the next day, and he says, "Hey, Tom, I heard you had some excitement out here." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Anybody get hurt?" I said, "Well, I mean, they didn't shoot me, but I haven't seen them." And he stood there for a second and said, "Okay, be careful." That was the whole investigation right there.
Wow.
Bro,
That was
this guy should be
absolutely
hired he should be put on the CSI or something. I don't know.
right.
Crime scene
Yeah.
investigator.
So we had an enormous nightclub, and we had one of the most interesting times was male dancer night. So the place was packed full of women, which was more dangerous than I ever faced with the bikers, I might add. Because if somebody got in front of them watching their favorite male dancer, then the girls would start pulling hair and throwing shit, and then I'd have to get them out of there. Me and the bouncers. But if you hit one of the girls, you got 400 other girls going to swarm on you and just disintegrate you. So you had to, I know, a lot of wrist locks and close in stuff to control people to get them out of there. But then you had a whole bunch of guys waiting for the show to be over because they knew where all the girls were in the region. So it was definitely a pretty crazy, nasty business. And it's luckily that I'm allergic to alcohol, because most nightclub owners turn alcoholic, but I just ate all the pizza.
And then you sat in your chair as well and working on your
Yeah,
business.
and one time, so there's so much going on with cannabis nowadays. Last time I was in LA, I was down at Venice Beach, and I'd see these people in lab coats standing there like the doctor's in. And,
I was there yesterday. Yeah, exactly.
and so I smoked at one time in college, knowing that I'd get laid if I just went along with it. But I didn't feel anything, did nothing. And then years and years later, I'm in the nightclub, and a guy brings in some hash brownies. And I'm thinking, man, brownies, I'm a big eater. I'm like, give me this. So I killed 2 hash brownies, thinking that, nothing, who cares? It doesn't bother me. I remember this time where I smoked and nothing. By the end of the night, I'm against the back of the bar like this in a total stupor. The patrons had to close the bar for me because I was totally, I couldn't even see straight. But then I kind of woke up a little bit, and the whole bar was full of pizza crust. And so I just just ate had the munchies out my ass. And then I don't know who closed the bar. I don't know who did it, but that was so we had all kinds of interesting, but we had delivery service too. So I had this monster truck, but there's no addresses out here. Literally, we'd take a phone order, and we're the only place in the whole region that's delivering pizzas, right? And we'd get an order that said, okay, go down 857 till you end of that white fence you see there, and turn right. There'll be some sheep in the. I mean, this is our direction. Go past the sheep, and then you're going to see a cornfield on your left. Turn there, and then our bullpen is over on the right. Don't go near that. That's our directions.
Wow.
And we had to get a wedgie pillow because the hills were so steep, all the cheese would be in the edge of the box when we're going up with this monster truck. It was quite a time in my life, put it that way.
It sounds like a Clint Eastwood movie or like the Wild West from
It was definitely Wild West. There's no question about it.
many
These
years ago.
bikers, I took over, in my stupidity, I took over a biker's bar and decided I was going to clean it up into a nice, nightclub, dress code, and all this. And, call me crazy. Those bikers just didn't quite appreciate my efforts, put it that way.
They didn't understand the fashion taste that you were trying to show.
I was actually chasing one of them through the parking lot at night, throwing a pizza at him. That was the only weapon I had on. I was out of shells or something. I don't know.
Wait, it's very important. What type of pizza was it?
It was West Virginia style instead of New York style.
It's good. It's a good one.
Wow.
And
wild.
Wasn't much style to it at all, but so it was. That was an interesting life. So when I actually lost that was one of the only businesses I've ever failed in that I was 7 days a week for 6 years. We got 4 days off a year, and one of them didn't count. It was New Year's Day because you're shot in the ass from New Year's night or New Year's Eve, and I was on my way to being a millionaire by the time I was 30. And going through all these gunfights, and I couldn't leave. I had everything I had tied up in a place, and so then the drinking age went from 18 to 21, and wiped me out. I lost about $400,000 in 1980s money, and then I got injured and tore my Achilles tendon. No health insurance, and I was ending up in a vacant house that my buddy owned. Living off credit cards. It's going from Mr. Big Shot of the whole state to a nobody living on a mattress. But I was watching, you guys are too young, but I was watching Candid Camera on a black and white television. You probably never even seen one. Right. No. But I got the idea. I was thinking to myself, when I get out of this mess, I'm going to get in a business that is fun for me, fun for everybody else. Nobody's going to hit me with beer bottles, nothing. So I'm watching Candid Camera, and I'm thinking, you got to either live in California or to be caught by the camera accidentally. You can't really participate in it. And so I thought, I'm going to start a practical joke company. So I was doodling a little devil sticking his tongue out at you, and I called it Prank Masters, and it's a federally registered trademark now. And I moved to Washington, D.C., and we did 4,000 custom designed practical jokes long before Punk'd and Jackass and all those shows were around. Yeah, called Prank Masters. And so that was one of the most fun times where I was kind of a professional comedy writer, basically.
That's amazing. What do you think about pranks nowadays compared to?
Oh, well, I mean, it's taken
days?
off. Pranks, I mean, you get millions of views on stuff on TikTok and Reels and all that stuff. So it's a big business now. Pranks. Back then it was, and I mean, I was making 100,000 a year, and I had 35 people working for me. So it was a lot of fun. But the characters, oh my God. We had this one guy that was 450 pounds, and he did an act called a moonogram. The message is written on his ass. and every business has its technical difficulties, right? So if he had more than one job in a day, somebody had to erase the last message and put the new message on. And that was a moonogram. Just all kinds of stuff. We did an over the hill preacher where I dressed up like a priest for over the hill birthday parties. 30, 40, 50 years old or something. So I just loved that. And I was in one of the fanciest malls in the country, McLean, Virginia, which is one of the highest zip codes in the country. And I was up in the executive offices doing this routine. But when I'm walking through the mall, nobody knows there's a joke going on. They're just, hello, Father, how are you? And I'm just going along with it. and so the job went great, and you really feel great when everybody had such a great time. And so I'm leaving, but I'm feeling just a little bit ornery, and I'd always wanted to do this. So I'm passing Victoria's Secret, dressed like a priest. You already see it coming, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so I go in there, and I pick up the slinkiest little G-string I can possibly find, and I take it to the counter. Now, these young girls that work there are trained to say something about it's part of their sales process to say something about your purchase. These little girls are against the cash register sweating, like, they're like, oh, and then finally one of them said, my cousin got that last week, and she really likes it. I said, total straight face. The altar boys are going to love it. And I bought it. And I walked out the door, and I know it's on a training somewhere for Victoria's Secret. But
Wow.
I also had a travel trailer and a little Nissan Sentra, and we had these what they call paupers caskets. They're fiberglass caskets for people that can't afford a funeral, and then they show you in it, but then they dump you in the hole and reuse the casket, right? So I got these at a flea market, no less. So I would use them as props for over the hill birthday parties with these hideous looking dummies in there, and we'd set them up. And so I would put them on a little travel trailer behind a Nissan Sentra. And I had these magnets for like funeral magnets made up that said Tom's Discount Funerals. And I'm driving down the road with a casket on a little utility trailer.
That
So
sounds
it
like
was
a
it
lot
was
of
just
fun.
a blast for,
Yeah.
4,000 of those things over 6
And
years.
Tom, how did
Wow.
what gave you the idea that you wanted to do pranks and then as a business, and also like why is the constant transition from business to business?
Well, it was the that was the big contrast between the really nasty nightclub
Hmm.
business. I was stimulated to do. I knew I was going to be in business because I've always been a entrepreneur, but I didn't want the negativity. So I wanted something that was a lot of fun, and the candid camera on the TV was the stimulus. It's like boom, it just hit me in the head. Now, in my despair of being busted up with no health insurance, living on a vacant house, I had kept humor books around me to keep my mind upbeat, because when you're knocked down that far from being the biggest shit in the world to nobody, it can really play havoc with your mentality. So my dad always said this, your business is not you. Yeah, if it failed, that doesn't mean you're a loser. That just means something went wrong. You come back from it. So that was you have to keep your mind open and relaxed to let the new ideas come in. See, if I'd have got totally whacked out because I lost $400,000 and just given up and started drinking and doing whatever, a lot of bad things, I would have never been open enough to let that idea come in. That was a big fun business that carried me for a long time, and it actually got me into the speaking business because um, the pranks I was doing, the most expensive one we ever did was $1,200, but the average was $100 to $150. So it was, this wasn't extremely lucrative. I mean, I made good money, but I got such comic timing and I had such business experience. The next level was the professional speaking career, which I've done 3,000 speeches in 12 countries. And for the last 20 years, I've never done less than $100,000 per speech minimum.
Wow.
Whoa.
And but all of that negativity I had to go through with the nightclub, and then all the fun and humor and timing that I learned from. I did 1,000 comic performances myself, and then the employees did the rest. Put those two together, was able to cash in much bigger and help a lot of people with my speaking career. So that's kind of how it evolved.
Wow. And you never saw that coming, right? You
No,
got the skills by doing it, but
yeah,
yeah.
no, I didn't. I never planned any of this stuff. In fact, this this book right here is kind of a classic in the speaking industry. You had a professional or a speaking guy on a couple episodes ago, I think.
Yes.
But this came about because I'm a continuous learner. And my dad says you can do whatever you want. You learn how to do it. You work at it, become an expert at it, and so forth. So when I was transitioning from the practical jokes and those performances to the boardrooms and to, seminar halls and things like that, Well, it's not exactly the same. Yeah, I was glib and funny, but I didn't know about microphones and seating arrangements and corporate, politically correct stuff and all that. So I had to learn all that. So I learned all of it, and I got so good at it, people started begging me to teach them. See, when you get good at something, people will want to know how you did it. And I was helping so many people, I couldn't get my own work done. So that's when I wrote this book. And then that started a whole thing of teaching professional speakers. And then in 1994 is when the commercial internet came along. See, I was selling books and tapes and things at the back of the room, but it was hard enough to sell things across the street, let alone around the world from your desktop. So when the commercial internet came along, that's when I jumped on and just killed myself to learn. And I went 2 years, didn't make a nickel, got good training, then finally started making money. And that's where we're at today.
Wow, you invested in yourself and it paid off
Yeah,
hugely.
your knowledge. That's the thing. When I teach people the internet stuff, it's expensive to hire me, but the thing is people will blow $5,000-$10,000 on a website because they know they need one, and it's nothing more than a $150 WordPress site with a responsive theme. That's all it is, But they spent $10,000 on it. So that's kind of my value to people is to not do that.
So Tom, it sounds like you don't really agree with the current education system.
No, hell no. No, it's all an indoctrination place. I mean, I have the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the U.S., probably the world, and it gives you an actual skill, because internet marketing and digital marketing is in high demand. Every business on earth needs it. But these kids, there's so many studies far above me being biased because I want them to come to my school. Books about they followed 2,000 kids for a matter of years, and at the end of their college career, 45% of them said they didn't learn anything the whole time they were there. After 2 years, they had 40% of them said they didn't learn anything. They found out that the kids were spending a total of 8 hours per week in anything academic related, getting ready for class and going to class. 8 hours total in a week. The rest of the week was partying, eating, and shopping. So I don't think you want to mortgage your house.
Yeah, now I'm $100,000 in debt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or 200. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, certain things you got to do it, but most things nowadays, I mean, it's a brainwashing of the parents for all these years that a kid has to go to college, and it's going to be worthwhile. Well, no, it isn't. If you look at the numbers, for most people, they could be way further ahead if they had a marketable skill, and you got to remember the living costs and being out of the job market for 4 years, that adds up. All right, because even if you come out at a $50,000 a year job, there's $200,000 that you didn't get because you were partying and drinking. So
opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost. Yeah.
So we talked about your transition into the prank world. How about the
Be careful how you talk about me transitioning, because I don't.
We never asked, what are your pronouns? We don't have your pronouns.
That's the important question right now.
I don't know how to refer to you. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, do it with fuck and you. That's my pronoun.
All right, fuck. Let's get to know a bit more about the.
I definitely will respond to that. Yeah.
So out of all the businesses that you worked on, which one do you think is like the one that is most compatible with your personality?
The prank for sure. I mean, the prank and then the speaking, because I had the business stuff, but the prank was just pure fun the whole time. And other than the time I got kicked out of a Jewish Seder because I didn't know any better. Yeah.
Tell us that story.
Well, first of all, from Morgantown, West Virginia, there wasn't one Jewish person for 300 miles. All right. So, they're smart enough to avoid the region. All right. So I get to and I open up the Practical Joke Company, and these young, I say 17, 18, 19-year-olds booked me to do a comical thing for this Seder. do I know that this is the most holy thing on the face of the earth? No, I'm a country fucking bumpkin. I had no idea. So I write this just hysterical thing. It was kind of like, why Jesus was such a good host at the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Because he would say, sit here, sit here. That's what I called it. And nobody was cracking a smile. And then finally the father stood up and kicked me out. And then the mother called me the next day threatening to sue me. And I said, you know what? I don't blame you. I didn't know what I was doing. But guess what? Before you sue me, ask your kids, because they cleared every word of this before I walked in the door. And then that's the last word.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, for my personality, I'm always looking at the bright, fun side of things. And it's carried me really well. And it really works in the speaking industry because everybody expects at the highest levels at entertainment value. So when I can mix, and I'm not a stand-up comic in those situations. I'm mixing the humor with the immediately usable information. So I'm not a motivational speaker that has you bouncing off the walls and then you leave and you have no idea what to do. Mine is very, oriented towards this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. But in between is all they're laughing their ass off as they're getting their credit cards out. That's a good thing.
I see. You use it as a marketing tool. Humor is marketing.
Well, yeah. Well, I get the longest slots because I can keep people's attention. This whole book, Wake 'Em Up, is based on 11 attention gaining devices. So it might be stage movement, it might be visuals, it might be interviewing people in the audience, and all these funny stories, quotes, all these things, and they just never know what hit them. And I'm not what I call a reject from Toastmasters. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Toastmasters. I love them if you're the kind of person that's so nervous and rough around the edges that you just go up there and take a shit on stage, and they say, "Oh, that's a great shit, perfectly timed."
They're very supportive community.
And so if you're that kind of person, yeah, very supportive. If you need that, that's perfect. But when they decide to pretend that they could cross the line into my world, where a meeting planner that makes $90,000 a year could get fired if I bomb. All right. That's a whole different world. And in fact, my favorite Toastmaster story is, this is 25 years ago. I'm in Dallas. I get $5,000 for the hour. And I had a 3-minute standing ovation, which is an enormous amount of time for a standing ovation. They're begging the executives to let me keep going. They're lined up it's a big theater, all the way into the parking lot, waiting to get their book signed by me. And this Toastmaster guy waited a half an hour in line to come up and tell me he didn't think I was very professional because my coat was unbuttoned, and I said and aw 6 times. I was like, how are you going to argue with that guy? So yeah, mixing the speaking and the humor can just take you to enormous levels. Now that more live events are coming back, because during the pandemic they all went nothing. But I had already been doing so well online, it didn't bother me. In fact, like I said, I haven't been on a plane in 4 years and don't miss it a bit, because you see all the stuff that people are crazy on planes and they're canceling the flights. Oh my God. So. Yeah,
I'm a bit confused about you, Tom. So
yeah, yeah.
Are you like chasing the money, or is this money the byproduct of you having fun?
Money's the byproduct. I was put on the earth pretty much to help people in business, small business, not big business. Big business doesn't like me because I tell them what morons they are to spend $1 million on stuff. I got Best of the Web in Inc. magazine for a $600 website, beat out 3 other $1 million sites. And the panel of CEOs that said, well, why did he win? Well, the site was easy to get around and we could find what we wanted fast. So big businesses, they just have more money than brains. So little guys, I'm very frugal. I grew up very frugal because my dad came from Syria on a cattle boat with nothing back in the early 1900s. And everything was frugal. I mean, we buy used lumber. We'd get the nails out, straighten them out so he could use them again. We had 13 wells on our property. He said, "Don't waste water." To this day, I can't let the water run while I'm brushing my teeth. So I hear my dad spinning in his grave,
Wow.
like, "What's wrong with you?" So this picture back here, you see the baby there?
Yeah, of
Johnny
course.
Cash. Remember that guy? Okay, well, he had a song called "A Boy Named Sue," and it was a song about a old drunk cowboy who didn't think he'd be there to raise his kids, so he named him Sue to make him scrappy and tough. Well, my dad was 50 when he had me. I'm the baby of 6 boys, and he didn't think he'd be around. So from the time I could crawl, he would put pillows in front of me and put my toys on the other side to teach me how to overcome obstacles. And he only went to the 2nd grade, but he was the smartest guy I ever knew. I actually witnessed him sit down and read the entire World Book Encyclopedia when he
Wow.
retired. You may not even seen one; they're on disc now, but 26 volumes plus everything else. So I'm pretty much unstoppable, but I won't step on anybody or cheat anybody. But if you tell me I can't do something, you better get out of the way as I blow by doing it, because when somebody tells you that you can't do something, doesn't mean anything. It means they can't do it. That's all it means. Doesn't mean you can't. So that was all from you're sitting here talking to my dad, basically, because he instilled all this stuff
So,
in me,
like, what kind of advice would you
Wow.
give someone who's starting off and starting their business and want to pick like something that suits them? How do you pick the right business for yourself or like the right idea?
Well, if you're just starting out, you got to get out of that thing of that it suits you. All right. Everybody says, do what you love and the money will come. Bullshit. You might like something that nobody else does. So in the beginning, you need to find out, do the proper research to see where the demand is and something that you would be credible providing. All right. So you might find a high demand in one area, but you'd suck at it, so so that's the first thing, is get your ego out of it and not please yourself like the whole generations nowadays. All they care about's, themselves. And you got to see what the other person wants and provide it for them. Then once you get established, you can expand to more things that you like. Like, for instance, I after I got going, I developed a whole system of making your hobbies tax deductible. And it's all fun stuff for me. So, for instance, I have the dubious distinction of being the largest person ever to create and star in a tennis training video. It's called Fatso Tennis. Fat people that love tennis, and it's a 2 DVD set. And so all of my tennis stuff is tax deductible, since I created a website and I put a blog on there, and then I created a product to sell this tennis DVD. And a lot of it is funny, but a lot of it is like teaching you how to run the little guy, the younger guy, to death before you drop dead. Because you're sucking air. So all the tips and tricks and all the goofy gadgets. You remember that movie with Kevin Costner called Tin Cup? He was
I
a
haven't seen
Yeah, I haven't
golfer.
seen it
Yeah,
either.
it's a while back, but he was a golfer that lost his mojo, so he was trying all these gadgets and stuff. Well, they have a bunch of gadgets for fat people playing tennis. For instance, if this is the racket, and this is the butt, and this is the head, you can put a suction cup on the bottom here, so you don't have to bend
Oh my
over to pick the
god.
ball up. You can just put
Just making it more convenient.
and there's like chapstick for your inner thighs, so it
Standing
doesn't
in the
rub
heat,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, and the trailer, you can see it at fatsotennis.com, is me playing tennis and eating pizza at the same time. Yeah, so I have a protection dog company because I love big dogs. So we have a protection dog company, and stuff like that. So yes, you can. If what you love is in demand, awesome, that's perfect. But if it isn't in demand, you'll just beat your head against the wall. Nobody will want it. So that would be the first piece of advice. The second thing is always have a digital aspect to your business. So I don't care if you're an ice cream shop. I don't care if you're a landscaper. The problem is that landscapers, let's take a landscaper. They feel that they're a local business within a certain range that they can handle customers, right? But no, the knowledge that they have is saleable around the world in digital format, especially with no risk as a ebook or a course or things like that. So you got to think globally, even if you're doing what's considered a local business. The local ice cream shop figures 5-mile radius, but they could write an ebook on how to make an ice cream cake and sell it all around the world. And they could change the language and sell it to twice as many around the world. So always have a digital aspect to your business.
Wow, you're so confusing me, Tom. It seems like you're a product of the old generation, yet you're so like forward in your thinking. I
Well,
don't know.
when the reason my podcast is called "Screw the Commute" is because if you're not in traffic making everybody else rich, you got all kinds of tough time to think about stuff and to do things. If you see my resume, it looks like total bullshit. How could somebody do all this stuff? And then I just do stuff. And my dad was a continuous learner. I just got my commercial drone license. Not for any real reason. I just got it because I've been a commercial charter pilot for years, a freelance. And,
Okay.
I just learn. Hopefully it'll, keep Alzheimer's from kicking in. But I don't know if the government keeps going like it was. I'm hoping Alzheimer's kicks in.
So what's
About this
what's the next
bullshit.
thing that you want to learn?
Well, recently I learned how to cut trees down without killing myself, and that saved me thousands of dollars. And I just did the drone, and I also I went down to the pressure washing company, and I met a guy, and he taught me pressure washing. So, I mean, this big estate, he said it cost me $4,000 to do this place once. And so I learned the proper way to pressure wash. I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy, hands-on, blue-collar kind of thing. Do I have to? No, I could pay for all of this stuff. But again, my dad's sitting on my shoulder. You remember that movie with the devil and the angel, the Animal House, I think it was called.
Yeah, exactly.
And my dad's saying, "Don't you fucking pay $4,000 to pressure wash? Don't buy a pressure washer. Do it yourself, you fat ass." Yeah. So I don't know what's next. Next, I think, is to develop the drone business because I bought the website, and then I'm breaking in with the young kid that works for me on Sundays out in the lawn. I'm teaching him. So I like to be a teacher too. So as he grows, I'll get him to do some of the jobs. Roof inspections and home, fancy homes and stuff. So it's always something. And I'm a little bit of a prepper, so I, keep up on survival stuff.
Yeah.
I have another website called Brutal Self-Defense, based on, it's like the nastiest thing you can do to another human being. Yeah.
But if you're in West Virginia, what is the
West
likelihood
by
of
God, Virginia, please.
You
West
can't
Just
forget
like
that
Virginia?
term, Ali. You can't. It's got to stay there.
You're not gonna get nuked. There's zero chance you're gonna get nuked.
No,
okay?
no.
Why are you prepping for a doomsday?
Well, I just regular people are dangerous, after being 7 days a week. Well, I mean, look at the stuff. They're pushing people in the subways and doing the knockout game from last year where there's one punch on some old
God.
person and knock them out. I mean, so I'm very cognizant of that. So I started I did a 14-hour seminar and recorded it all, and it's really seriously nasty stuff. Yeah. So I'm always a continuous learner. I'm learning stuff all the time, and the dogs keep me busy too with the training of them, and so and it beats working for a living. Put it that way.
Yeah, you're busy, Tom. You're a busy guy. How do you manage?
Wait,
doing
I'm
all of this?
confusing myself here. Wait a minute.
Well,
no.
I'm confused
I'm
now as
confused.
well.
I'm
Like,
confused.
we're all just confused. It's like all sitting around here, the studio.
Did you have like AI before it was invented or something? Like, how are you able to manage everything you're doing? And like for me, the common sense thing to do is pick one thing, focus on it, make it grow. Okay.
That's
But
true.
you're out here saying, you can actually experiment in different things and have a few things that succeed.
Right, but the thing is you were correct in saying make it grow. So I didn't branch out. I remember I've been doing online marketing since the commercial internet started, 29 years now, 29 and a half years.
Right.
So it didn't start this way. It was get good at something, make it work and profitable before you split off. You know, some people like they go 10 different directions and they say, oh, it doesn't work. No, you're a dumbass. You split yourself up and you don't even know what you're doing on one of them. And my students, I make them concentrate on one thing, learn to do it right before they expand. You know, they see, they see me at the rah-rah speeches and doing all this stuff, but you can't do it all at once right off the bat if you don't know what you're doing. Now, the young people have a better chance because they're more tech savvy. You know, they came out of the womb swiping screens and stuff. You know, so there was no computers when I got a very interesting way of recruiting these young people too. It would never be accepted by Monster or any of the places ever. The only place I can get away with is Craigslist. All the people that work here from Craigslist, and they all been here many years, and they recruited off of Craigslist. So I write these really rotten, nasty ads that scare away all the entitled little idiots. And then I get really great people. So the ad might, first of all, it sucks them in. Hey, work for an internationally known this, that, and the other guy, learn internet, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? If you're a worthless slug, this actually says this. If you're a worthless slug that doesn't care about your work, if you don't get thrown, if he doesn't throw you out of here in 5 minutes, the other good employees will. And so it wiped out all the idiots from applying, and only good people applied that said, I'll show this guy. I care. I'm a good. And then I get great people that way. But I don't think Monster would accept that ad.
No, I don't think they would. No.
Wow.
Are you confused yet, Saeed? Is it Saeed?
I've been confused for a while. I don't even know.
Okay, good. Now, what I'm confused is I thought there was two alleys involved here. What's the A squared? What does that mean anyway? Yes. I tried to figure it out, but I couldn't.
A squared. Many years ago, we had another host called Ali. And yes, exactly.
He died?
Now it's
what
just
happened?
Me and then Saeed nowadays, and some friends sometimes join.
All right, so I saw a guy named Paco come on the other day.
Yes, exactly. The one and only. Paco comes in from time
to time. And he noticed this Tim guy going like this the whole time. It's like he had a girl underneath him or something.
Yes, exactly.
Another guy.
Well,
so I started watching that episode. I said, "Oh, damn, these guys are too deep for me." The first thing I hear is a 13-year-old meditating. I'm thinking, "I don't think on this shit."
That's fair. That's true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're embracing it. We're trying to have fun with it as much
who's
as we
Paco?
can.
Who's he?
Paco. So me and Saeed know each other from, we went to the same high school together, and we have a few friends from our high school group that also.
We're just all buddies.
We're all.
Well, how did you end up
I
in London?
came to do my master's here, and basically human rights and politics. Something that I'm not working in, something I don't think I'll ever work in, something I don't believe in as well.
That's why the 80% of college students are not working in the field.
To be honest, whenever someone asks me, I just say it's like I came for the visa. That's I picked the masters for the visa. That's why. And so yeah, now I'm here, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, yeah, I don't remember too much about London. Oh, I do remember trying to fly around Europe. That was a fucking joke. They say, "Oh yeah, jump on this airplane. It's so cheap. It's like $30 to fly from Heathrow to Luton or something like that." And so I get up there. I'm all like, frugal dad is sitting on my shoulder. $30. That's awesome. Oh, well, how much is luggage? Oh, it's $360 for luggage.
Right.
They do that. Ryanair, right?
Was it everybody's wearing backpacks.
Yeah.
No, Ryan, I think it was.
Wow. No different than Spirit. No different than the ones we have here, right? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, I haven't been on for a long time, but I see people getting drug off, people screaming, oh, man, crazy. Mm-hmm. And then canceling the flights, 1,800 flights canceled one day. Oh, I wonder why people are mad.
You're right to prepare the bunker. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have good foresight.
Yeah, as soon as Southwest cancels another 2,000 flights, it's the end of the world.
So what are the main essentials that are stored in this bunker of yours? Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't have a bunker yet. I just know all this stuff. Yeah, But I have heard there are some serious bunkers in the world. These people bought these old missile silos and turned them into luxury bunkers.
How
It's
do you
probably a
find a
big,
bunker to buy? Like,
probably
what are you like just going through a website, it's like eBay or something,
Craigslist.
just like Etsy, looking
Craigslist.
for a
Yeah,
bunker
eBay.
on Etsy or something? What's
The guys that have them, I don't know how they found them, but they're happy to let you know how that for $400,000 you
Do you
can have
contact
like
the real estate agent as
I don't
well? Or
know,
just like
uh,
how many square meters
yeah,
is the bunker? How many acres do I get with it?
or yeah, is our neighbors quiet?
Are the walls soundproof? Can I like, or is like a lot of noise around us?
Right, right, yeah. Is there an HOA?
Oh my god.
There has to be
Yeah,
bunkers. That's the future. That's the demand. Speaking of supply demand, people want bunkers. No
yeah.
one's selling them. Yeah, exactly. We got to figure it
I don't
out.
know. I was looking at those tiny houses and I couldn't even get through the front door.
That's the future. Tom, speaking of, what do you think about all this artificial intelligence for marketing, online marketing?
Well,
Yeah.
did you see that one that fell in love with this journalist and tried to get him to
What?
leave his wife?
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
hear about
yeah.
that.
I
That's
swear to
so
God,
funny.
look it up. Yeah, just say AI falls in love with chatbot falls in love with journalist. Yeah, and
I'll type
he
it.
kept digging, pushing it, and it tried to get him to
Oh
lose
my god, bro.
to
This
leave his
sounds like a
wife,
scene
and
from
says, "I
Ex
love you.
Machina or
You're the only
something.
one for me."
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you find it? Did you find
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Here, I can share a screen too. Microsoft Bing chatbot professes
What?
love for journalists
I
and dreams
told
of
you.
No
stealing
way,
the nuclear
man.
codes. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, malfunctioning program urges tester to leave his wife and adds, "I want to escape the chatbot."
Bro, an AI with ambition. Like
So
they have a dream. They want to get out. They want to
yeah,
escape.
What?
so I'm gonna the most important thing I can suggest for that journalist is to get a prenup. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the details of it, but you got plenty of divorce lawyers out there in Los Angeles. They'll figure
I
it out.
mean, it's the future. It's bound to happen. Like,
Yeah.
speaking of supply
So
demand.
my worry, since I've written so many books and I teach people about book writing and selling, is that they're going to get lazy and they're not going to put. They're just going to prompt anything they can think of, and they're going to copy and paste and get hit with plagiarism. That's the worry I have for lazy people. It's a tool like anything else. Now, Elon Musk is a pretty smart guy, and he bagged out of it. He started that
Yeah.
what OpenAI I think it was called, and he's backing off seriously. So there's got to be something there that he's worried about. I imagine either that or Amber Heard's going to make a comeback.
Yeah, you just have an
That's
AI
probably
of
more
Amber Heard, and the
more
real
of a
one will
worry
just
for him
disappear
than
somehow. Like
yeah. Now, in my consumer advocate role, I did put an email out warning everybody about this older scam that's been updated with AI. And the scam is a grandparent or somebody would get an emergency call with a young person saying, "Hey, grandma, I ran over somebody. I'm in trouble. Talk to the lawyer." And it's all a scam. And this grandparent is scared to death. And the lawyer says, "You got to send $4,000 as a retainer right now and go to Target, get a gift card, all that shit." But now they're cloning the young person's voice with AI and using
yeah.
a real voice of the
Wow.
granddaughter or grandchild or, son or daughter, whatever it is. So it's really insidious now. So that's the same as any other tool. You can use it for good or bad, just like a hammer, but so I watch that that side of it. It's obvious that there's a lot of upsides to it, but my job is kind of watching to keep people safe from things,
Yeah.
with my self-defense and my anti-fraud TV show. And so that's where I lean most of the time, is to keep people safe.
Yeah, I'm also a bit confused about. You seem like the most optimistic person, but also the most like devastated,
Totally
afraid of the
optimistic.
future.
Totally optimistic, but it's there's you have to have your head up your ass to not. Well, there's a famous. Yeah, I didn't say you had to, but with in the world, and there's a famous article, very famous, called "On Killing." I think I forget Colonel somebody. I forget who wrote it, but there's I'm a sheepdog.
Mm.
A regular person that just goes through life is a sheep, and the bad people are wolves. And so sheepdogs go after, try to protect the sheep from wolves. So I'm kind of a sheepdog. I'm the first one that's going to help or do something or teach or do something to help people. And that was just, I don't know, the way I was brought up. But the craziness. I mean, look, how much, Allie, can you go? I really need some stuff from the drugstore. Could you go steal me like $900 worth and ship it off to me? I'll give you.
That's a request.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is he knows he lives in the middle of it, where there a certain amount of money they can steal and just walk out the door. It's no wonder.
Yeah, fine. No one's gonna do anything to me.
Are you aware of that, Saeed? Yeah, this is where they're passing laws that you can steal up to I don't know what it is now, $950.
Is this across the whole U.S. or just one state?
Exactly.
Definitely,
it's different locales. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's closer to Allie than me, because I live in.
To be honest, Tom, if something like that was happening in Virginia, I think your guns will hold up.
This is an open carry state. We can walk right down the street with a gun on our hip. And I don't do that because I don't want to be the target. They'll take me out first. But
what's the reasoning behind this?
Yeah. So
I still don't. I actually am legit trying to understand.
Explain your state, Ali. I'm confused too.
Yeah.
Being nice. What is this? Is this like the new method of redistribution of wealth? What's going on, man? Is this like?
That's
criminals are people too.
They call it reparations.
So like,
some of them do.
Okay.
Yes.
So steal from the rich so that the poor can get some. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean but it's very short sighted because the stores are closing up and leaving, and so there's nothing left for the community. So it's just this is the kind of crazy stuff that hits me, is from a small town. You try to pull that in Claysville,
you're gonna get smacked the shit out of you. That's what's gonna happen.
You'd be lucky to ever be.
So, yeah. How do you defend yourself?
Ever be found?
How do you defend yourself in these kinds of situations?
Well,
how am I supposed to do it?
Well, they're not stealing from you personally, so you just stay out of it, because you'll get arrested. Gascon will throw you in jail forever if you did something, because that's the way it is. I mean, the criminals, some of the police were on saying we arrested the same guy 40 times.
40 times.
So what's right in your neighborhood? Yeah, and they're right back out because they know there's no consequences. That's the kind of thing that in small town USA, the rest of the world knows. Hey, if you do something bad, there's going to be consequences. But if there's no consequences, you're going to get more of that behavior. So
there seems like there's no justice in the US now.
Okay,
nowadays,
so the difference.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is coastal and gets a lot of press and gets people all riled up. So
back to the Wild West days, right?
Yeah,
it comes full circle.
Exactly. I can imagine somebody come in and just trying to rob my cash register. Oh my God! And now, and there wouldn't even have been an investigation. I'd have done the guy in, and that'd be the end of it.
And then you'd have the sheriff come out and just ask, like, "Oh, did you have a crazy day, Tom?"
He didn't have a day. He'd say, "What'd you do with the body?" I said, "I dumped it down in the lake." Okay, all right, be safe.
It's like the mentality is that, oh, I'm a victim, and that
I deserve it
to me. Yeah, this is owed to me.
Right, exactly.
But that's not what you did. You were broke and you thought of an idea and did something good and provided and made money doing it.
That's the thing is, I say nobody ever got shot by the police in a library. and there's every kind of resource you could want. If you're broke, have nothing, if your family has nothing, no internet, no computers, go to the fucking library. They'll help you. Those librarians are like fanatics to help people. They're wonderful. So the opportunity is there, and you probably won't get shot by a police officer. If you go out and sell drugs, well, then, you made your choice. And, it's easy for me to say, coming up, middle class and, but the thing is there's opportunity there to do it the right way. And it's too easy to go the other way, I guess.
Wow, it really does come full circle, Tom. We're wrapping up on time. I want to ask, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
I'm right here.
Nice to see you. That's good. Find him right here. He's right there.
You gotta be at the A2
Hell
show wherever.
baby.
Bro. Virginia, bygone. I don't know what's the last one. It's like West Bygone, Virginia.
Bygone,
Bro, I got
Virginia,
bygone
yeah.
correct. That's
Get
the
it
most
right.
important one.
Yeah.
My mind, I got it right.
Yeah. My hometown Claysville was named after the great statesman Henry Clay, but not really because he slept there. His horse just took a dump there on the way through, and that was good enough for us. So great internet marketing training is good. Subscribe to Screw the Commute podcast. These guys are going to be on there if they'll be glad to grace me with it soon. So screwthecommute.com is a good place to there's over 400 training sessions and 300 some interviews. So it's pretty, it's a top 1% podcast. So that's a good start.
Let's get out
guys.
of here.
Yeah. Go down and get that order I placed for the drugstore, please, and send it off.
Well, guys,
I don't want to hold you up from that.
We've talked about drugs, guns, nightclubs in the basement, and the best stories out there from Tom and John. Thank you for watching A to the show, and salute to the camera. Peace.